Hey guys, in my last video, a lot of you were upset that I failed to consider some of your favorite creatures for the best gatherer list. Megaloceros. So today I've decided to make justice for those unlucky creatures. That's why today we're looking at 5 creatures that are underappreciated to a certain degree even by me and deserve a lot more attention. Now I'm not gonna list them in any particular order, and I'm fully aware that there are some more creatures out there that deserve to be on this list. So feel free to let me know in the comments down below what other creatures you think are underappreciated and should be used more. Now, before we start the video, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for the support over the past weeks. We recently hit 5k subs, which was my target to hit before the end of the year. You can't even imagine how happy I am for this milestone. Thank you guys. Okay, let's get on with this video. So the first creature on the list is the Moschops. This creature is insanely useful all throughout your playthrough, not just in the early game, but especially the newer players totally ignore this thing, and I kind of get why. It's small, it runs away instead of defending you, and it asks for cooked prime fish meat or rare flowers to tame. Who in their right mind would use such a dino? Well, if you do get one, you get one of the most versatile and efficient resource collector in the game, rivaled only by the Therizino and the Dunkleosteus. First of all, they can gather thatch and berries quite efficient, as well as wood and most importantly fiber, being one of the first available options to increase your fiber collection. But they can also collect a lot of rare resources, such as leech blood, organic polymer, both rare flowers and mushrooms, raw prime meat and raw prime fish meat, and even sap, though not on the island. The harvesting efficiency for all these rare resources can be increased using this menu, and each level up grants you 1 more point for efficiency increase. However, in order to benefit from these efficiency multipliers, you have to let the Moschops harvest on its own. For example, if you want to harvest some prime meat, kill the target, dismount and send your Moschops to harvest the carcass. The Moschops will also autonomously gather various resources if left wandering, so you can just let him do his thing and then grab what you want from him. This is how you actually gather rare mushrooms and rare flowers. Next on our list is the Dire Bear, one of my favorites. The Dire Bear has always been an underutilized decent mount in my opinion, being both a good harvesting mount and a day-to-day mount. First, they can efficiently gather fiber, organic polymer, raw meat and raw prime meat. But they can also get decent amounts of berries, hide and chitin, as well as being the best and only honey gatherer. Stat-wise, they have amazing stamina, weight, damage and movement speed, thanks to their momentum gaining ability. Their health is their biggest weakness, which at 400 is only decent. On top of that, they also grant player thermic isolation and immunity to giant bees. So why are they still underutilized? Well, it comes down to 2 things. They're difficult to tame since they have way more torpor than health, and because they can't jump, which can be annoying for a traveling mount. But in my opinion, Ascended made the bears even better. First, high damage creatures like the bear make the most of the way multipliers work now for melee attacks. Second, their momentum gaining ability is much more important now, since standard speed can no longer be increased. And third, most rocks in Ascended have become way easier to scale, allowing the Dire Bear to run over them and keep its momentum, despite not having a jump ability. So yeah, you should totally consider the Dire Bear as your next traveling mount. Next, we have the Megaloceros. The male one, that is. The female is absolutely useless. The Megaloceros is often overlooked by players as a species for a few reasons. First, they're found in the redwoods, which makes them a bit harder to tame. Second, because all the females are useless, it's pretty hard to find desirable high-level Megaloceroses on the map. And third, breeding them is a pain in the ass, because again, there's a 50% chance of getting an absolute garbage mount. However, the male Megaloceros is not that bad. First, as a traveling mount, is actually amazing. It's easily one of the fastest mounts in the game, and has a very impressive jump. Its attack is no joke either. Good damage combined with huge AoE and the ability to use weapons off its back make the Megaloceros even a decent cave mount. Those horns can really do wonders against bats. And lastly, it's one of the best and probably most convenient thatch gatherer in the game, because it cannot gather berries, and it gathers wood rather poorly. This means you won't get encumbered that easily, and you can really spam that attack button in forests. And since the stag has great mobility, you can bring thatch from forest further away from your base, keeping the closer trees for the slower moving wood collectors, such as the mammoth. One more thing for the PvP guys, the Megaloceros inflicts bleeding on human targets with its attack. That might come in handy against heavily armored players in PvP. The next creature is the Ichthyornis. This shoulder pet is probably the most hated creature in Ark. And it makes sense. Whenever I hear its sound, my brain instantly defaults to pull out the shotgun and shoot. Because if I don't shoot first, I will surely get all my bullets stolen. So I can see why this one is overlooked most of the time. But hear me out, because the seagull can be your best taming buddy in the early to mid game. Besides its standard weight reduction that all shoulder pets have, the Ichthyornis has the ability to generate prime meat from anything it hunts. Set it on hunt and retrieve, select the target, and then harvest the corpse. It can only hunt small creatures, like dodos, compies, pegos, listros, or fish. And for the land creatures, if you play on PvE, the flyer carry option has to be enabled. This is extremely useful when you want to tame your first mid-sized carnivore, like the Carno, Baryonyx, or even when you want to tame a Spino and you need either prime meat or prime fish meat. So next time you see this annoying bird, think twice before you decide to kill it, and you might get one of the most useful shoulder pets in the game. And the last one on the list is the Dunkleosteus. The Dunkleosteus is what you would get if you would mash together an Ankylosaurus, Doedicurus, and a Casteroid, and then shove the result underwater. This thing is literally an underwater resource gathering tank. First of all, the Dunkleosteus is one hell of a gatherer, able to gather efficiently stone, metal, crystal, wood, though I don't think there's collectible wood in the island's ocean, correct me if I'm wrong, and even black pearls to some degree. Additionally, it has some crazy good weight reduction perks, as well as amazing damage, weight, and health stat. You might think 710 base hit points is not that big of a deal, but the heavily armored donkey reduces most damage by 60%. This allows him to be one of the best creatures you can use to tame a Tuzo with. I think we can all agree that this sounds like an awesome creature. So what's the problem with it? Well, there are a few problems actually, starting with its turning radius. It's atrocious, and that's a very big problem when you face lots of faster enemies. And if you've ever been in Ark's Ocean, you know you will get swarmed by a pack of Megs at some point. It's also quite slow moving and hard to tame, because the resistance also works against trank ammo. However, by far its biggest problem is that it's an aquatic creature. In Ark Survival Evolved, the ocean was barren, boring, and too dark to play in. Somehow, Wildcard managed to turn its worst biome into an even more unplayable pile of utter. Calm down, Spartacus, this is a guide. We're not using swear words in this type of videos. We're here to spread knowledge, not hate. But seriously though, the ocean is arguably worse in Ascended, and I'm gonna make a whole video on this topic. In fact, you know what? Just forget what I said about the donkey. We'll have something else on 5th place. We'll have, the Packy. Yeah, the Packy. He's small, he's frail, can't carry anything, but he has personality and he faces his problems head on. Literally. And it can knock creatures out, so you get to keep that precious trank ammo of yours. Go ahead and tame it. But I want to hear your opinion on this topic. What do you think are the most underused creatures in Ark? Tell me in the comments. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, Spartacus out.